Rev up your engines! Well, here you go with greed. With sales slumping, automakers are going to pay as you go revenue. They're following, old Bill Gates. You can't buy Windows. You can lease it by the year. They've gone to la land with some of these car manufacturers. They gave one example. They said, well, you've got your fancy infotainment system and, you got to upgrade the software for the maps and blah, 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 blah. I guess these people aren't living in the real world. Here's my phone, right? Phone's got a great map. It's a Google Pixel. Fantastic map. I don't get lost. Tells me where to go, right? And what does it cost me to upgrade it? Nada. I bought the phone, that's it. And away you go. They're just looking for any way to make money off of people, just like the banks. Any service charge they can charge. They're so hard up for money, they'll do anything to get money out of your pocket. I remember a short while ago, some of these banks are saying, well, some of our investments are bad, so now we're going to charge people to have money in our bank. Not that they're not paying you any interest on the money you have in it, but they wanted to charge you money to put money in their bank. So they're taking some of your money out while they're watching your money. Well, kind of the same idea with a car manufacturer. BMW recently has mauled an idea of a monthly charge for their heated seats in the car. Mercedes is thinking about charging for soundscapes. The electric cars, they get to make a certain amount of noise so people can hear them. Well, there's the noise, and they're thinking about charging you, by the month for different sounds. I mean, what do they think? People don't have phones, they can't create their own sounds? I don't know. These guys are living in la land. Typical corporation people, though. Hey, they're not making enough money, so be in debt from the neck up. They'll throw any kind of idea out to make money off of people. Now take Ford. They have this Blue Cruise thing for, self-adaptive driving technology. Now, that adds up to $3,200 for the sticker price to begin with. But then they also charge you $600 for a 3-year subscription to the thing. I say, tell them they can go to Blue Blazes. There's a lot of software guys out there that can do stuff a lot cheaper. Just like I was saying about they're going to charge you money for these things in your infotainment system. Hey, I tell people, don't even buy a car that has one in it. Put it in yourself. The Android that I got in a Matrix out there, hey, that was a $150 Android. It works fantastic with all these devices, right? It was a one-time $150 fee, and I put it in myself. Anybody can install these things if they really want. Don't get suckered into buying all the bells and whistles from the manufacturer because, guess what? They're going to stick it to you. Buy a plain Jane car and modify it as you want. But of course, they rationalize everything. And I quote the manufacturers, this continuous improvement justifies subscription fees as well as any charges up front. But you don't have to buy their cars. That's the thing. In a relatively open society where perhaps you get some loonies that say, we want to do this, we want to do that, we're all going to drive electric cars, la, 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 la. But they can't force you to buy one yet. They can say, oh, we want to do this, but if people say, oh, we don't want to buy it, guess what? They don't do it anymore. So my advice with all the subscription stuff, don't subscribe. Maybe don't even buy their cars, and then they'll drop that idea like a lead balloon if everybody says this is a total ripoff. Heavy Metal Guy says, I got a 2016 Nissan Frontier, 80,000 miles, trickling sounds, come out from the dash when it's idling. A lot of times it's the simplest thing on earth. You're a little bit low on coolant. Your coolant circulates through the system, and in your dash is the heater core. Now, a lot of people don't understand with modern vehicles, but the heater core is always full of hot water. In the olden days when I was young, you turn the heater from hot off. There was a valve, and that would actually keep the hot water from flowing through the heater core. Well, most cars today, including your Nissan, they have full flow. They're flowing all the time. And the only reason you don't get hot air in the cabin is because the heater's inside a box with blend doors. And the blend doors are shut, so hot air doesn't blow in your face, right? Well, if your cooling system gets low on coolant, air gets in the system. The heater core is generally the highest part, so the air migrates there. Well, when you have air with the water inside the heater core, it gurgles like a brook. Normally, you don't hear any noise because it is just full of coolant. And it's coolant, it just flows, doesn't make any noise. But the air in there makes the gurgling sound, just like a brook going down over rocks. Hits the air, gurgles, makes noise. Let's say you got a problem with your air conditioning system. If you're low on refrigerant, that can gurgle too. And sometimes, even if your refrigerant is full, the valves, expansion valves, could be a little bit worn and they'll make a little bit of gurgling noise. But check your coolant first. Now, if your coolant's full and your AC works fine, you can ignore it because a lot of the valves can make noise, but most of the time it's just you're low on coolant. Tan Chaudhry says, I got a 2006 Lexus GS300. Feels like I got scammed. It's popping up. PO441, PO455, PO158. Lost tons of horsepower. Exhaust tips are black. Help me. The good good cars, I'm assuming you bought it used, saying that you got scammed. What you have to do is pay a guy like me just at least to analyze it. 16 years old, right? So it's an older car. The exhaust tips are black, you get in those coats. A lot of times, it's the catalytic converters clogging up. They will clog up on those things if it's a real high mileage car. You didn't give the mileage, so I don't know the mileage, but I'm guessing being that old is high mileage. So it'd be as simple as the catalytic converters need replacing. But you want to start by analyzing. Black means it's running too rich, and you lose horsepower. I mean, there are a zillion things that can do it. Something as stupid as a clogged fuel filter can do that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can do that. So always start at the basics. And let's say you're a guy that wants to look at your own stuff. Well, I would say check the air filter, replace it if it's dirty. Replace the fuel filter, it could be clogged up. Change the spark plugs, then start there. And if you have a scan tool, start analyzing the live data. I just made a video the other day on that that's going to be up soon to show you how you can analyze live data with a scan tool. Give you some ideas of what's happening, what's not happening. Because it could be as simple as a clogged fuel filter. You might need a catalytic converter. If you just bought the car and that came up, yeah, somebody took you for a ride, obviously. They sold you something that had a problem, and now it's your problem. You have to fix it. That's why I tell people, if you're looking at a car like that, always take it to a mechanic like me. Drive it at least an hour. So if there's some small problem, they reset the computer, and the light's not on. All of a sudden, the light comes on. It starts running bad. That happens when you road test in a used car. You walk. You don't buy it, unless you're a mechanic and you know what's wrong and how to fix it. Henry Manners 164 says, should I buy a 1996 Toyota Camry? It's sat since 2010 for $400. Okay, 11 years it's been sitting. Keeps telling me that it's burning oil, running rough. It was built by a silly mechanic, that the gearbox and transmission is fine though. Is it worth $400? The old girl still drives and runs like a dream. Sure, why not? For $400. If it runs and shifts like a dream, now what the heck? Go out and buy it. I mean, $400 is nothing. Right? Assuming you're Australia and $400 Australian for cars like practically giving it away. What the heck? Keep it for a second car, you know? Take it to the Outback. So if it breaks, then you don't care. You'll just abandon it in the Outback with the other abandoned cars by the side of the road. But yeah, if it runs, it goes, okay, what the heck? Who cares, you know? Normally I'd be real leery about a car that sat that long, but if it runs and shifts great now, what the heck, buy the stupid thing? $400? Who knows? I've had people buy old Camrys for $500 and drive them for 5 years and only put a few $100 in them to keep them going. Infinity FX Man says, Nissan 400Z versus Toyota Supra. Do you think the 400Z sports car would dethrone the Supra with its more powerful engine, standard training, and lower price? Well, yes, but I don't know how you could say dethrone because the Supra is not that big of a seller. They're not selling that many of them in the United States. Realize you're talking two completely different ball games. The new Nissan is the history of the Nissan Z car, sporty, affordable, fun to drive. The modern Toyota Supra is a BMW Roadster. It has nothing to do with Toyota or Japanese history. It's just Toyota wants to sell a sports car, so they decided, hey, BMW, you can make our Supras for us. They're just BMWs. They're made in the BMW factory. I mean, they're BMW engines. Everything's BMW in them. So you really can't compare the two. If you're a BMW fan, yeah, you know, that's one thing. But the Nissans, they're real sporty cars. They have the true history of Japanese sports cars behind them, where the Supra is just a paste-on BMW with the Toyota name on it. You can't really even compare them because, to me, the Supra isn't the throne of anything. It's just out there. They sell a few of them in the United States, but they're not proven that popular. And for the money that you pay, I certainly would rather have the Nissan. I'm not a Nissan fan, but their sports cars are pretty solid built, and they're putting a lot of time and energy into it, so I think it'll be a much better car. Now, here's an interesting sidebar to electric cars and lithium batteries. It turns out that the lithium could be a boon to California. Now, if you've ever been to the Salton Sea, it was this recreational area that everybody drove their cars to, and the rat packs sang there. But then it dried up, and now it's a giant dust storm with the Salton Sea that's so salty. Wind blows all the pollutant chemicals and dust all over the place. Well, guess what? There's lithium in that water. And it turns out with the thermal energy they can get around there, they're thinking that they can extract lithium there. I mean, heck, let's face it, if you've ever been there, it's polluted as can be anyways, so you can only make it better if you're taking the lithium out of that dust and out of the water and out of all the ground that's around there. Not a bad idea. It's a pretty much useless place anyways. Put it to some use. Now, as it recedes, and it's receding like sometimes 30, 40 feet a year, it's exposing both geothermal activity and sources of lithium. So So if they use geothermal lithium, it's 100% green where they get the energy from, and it's now nearly as polluting as the stuff that they're doing in South America. And since they're not getting the lithium from hard rock, they don't have to crush it and all the water running through, rinse it through, much less polluting if they get enough lithium there. Who knows? You know, a lot of times people sucker some investors in, and then they find out that, oh, well, we were wrong. The concentration levels of the lithium in the solution is too low to be economically viable. Who knows what will eventually come out of it? But it'd be kind of cool if they put the salt and sea to use to make lithium for electric batteries for cars. I mean, it's a vast wasteland anyways. They might as well put it to use for something. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.